Hello, Durud and Shalom. Hi, everyone. You missed me? Make sure you like the stream. I would very much appreciate that. Okay, so you guys know what happened. Actually, let me show you what happened. The BBC effed up big time. And this actually shows that we need to be very skeptical about what we see on TV and everywhere else, because look at the edit. It's actually worse than I thought. So I want to see what people have. You guys seen this? Let me actually, before I show you the edit, let's actually do an intro. How's my audio? Let me know in the chat. Hold on.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
The way they spliced his quotes together in order to make it appear as though he was saying something that he didn't say was wrong.
I think the problem that the legacy media has got is not an institutional left-wing bias. It's that it's a bit boring.
It bothers me to no end that someone who is so obviously a chameleon, a charlatan, was somehow able to fool more than 1 million New Yorkers into thinking that his populist agenda will ever succeed.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a disgusting war criminal. I think Zohran Mamdani standing up and saying that was actually very appealing to New Yorkers.
You're a fan of Stalin's. Mm-hmm. Oh, as an admirer.
For me, the line is whether or not the individual spewing the disgusting, anti-Semitic, bigoted, racist rhetoric has an audience or influence of his own.
I don't think anybody should be criticized for anyone they choose to interview on their own show.
Should I have someone like Fuentes on? President Trump.
All right, so they didn't actually show the edits that the BBC made. So that's why I'm going to show that to you guys. Have you guys seen the before and after? This is what the BBC is being. Everybody seems to be agreeing on this. That everybody is now anti-BBC because of this edit. So, they have received, their reputation is gone because of this, and now everybody is talking about it. So let's look at this edit for the January 6th, what happened in January 6th regarding to Trump's. I didn't actually know how manipulative they were. This is actually, and how long it took for us to actually see this. Did you guys know about this? The fact that they edited like this? Let's actually watch it.
We're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen.
So the left is the BBC's edit from their panorama documentary or whatever, and the right is the original clip. So if you look at the left, you can see that it looks like Trump was encouraging people to go and do a violent riot. So look at this.
We're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we fight. We fight like hell. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. We're going to.
All right. So they actually did this. He said the two parts that they connected with each other is 50 minutes apart, and they went out of their way. If you actually, the people who have examined the editing, they went out of their way. It's not just that they put them next together. They also did a lot of clever editing in the middle to make it seem like it was part of the. It was basically the same, right next to each other at the same time. Look at this.
We're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to.
So they're going to go. Yeah, the fight like hell. So the fight like hell part was so way farther down his speech, but they connected them together to make it seem like he was encouraging a violent riot or something. So that's what everybody, I don't know if you, I think everybody is now talking about this. So this is a big part, news. But now let's actually go see what these people are talking about, because they don't just talk about that. They're talking about a whole bunch of stuff, including the BBC. But I want to just look at their conversation and see what the hell's going on here. Yeah.
so cack-handedly that's caused more damage than the original offence. John, stay with me. I'm going to bring in other panel members now. Anna Kasparian, executive producer and host at The Young Turks. Clay Travis, founder of Outkick. Shabos Kestenbaum, he's the commentator with PragerU. And Michael Blake, he's the former Obama aide and Mamdani surrogate in New York. So welcome to all of you. Clay Travis, this was really, like I said, an absolute home run for Donald Trump. The BBC, one of his favourite places to whack, who he's always believed to have been biased against him, basically caught with their pants down, being transparently biased against him, and now he's on an absolutely triumphant victory lap, including threatening to sue them for $1 billion. What do you make of this?
$1 billion. $1 billion. Trump wants to sue the BBC for $1 billion. You know, you might think that doesn't make any sense. However, it makes a lot of sense when you realize that saying $1 billion is going to get a lot of media attention, and more people are going to pay attention to the fact that how BBC fucked up big time. Guys, you have no idea how damaged, like a lot of, I don't know if you know how damaging this is for the BBC. Like everybody is agreeing, even the anti-Trump people are agreeing that this was really bad. So this has been the greatest hit to the BBC's reputation, I think, ever. This is really bad.
Yes, it's a huge win for.
Oh, guys, is the audio bad? Is the audio bad? You let me know if you prefer. Is it too loud? Because if this is too loud, I could do this. Is this better? Let me know if this is better.
Pants down, being transparently biased against him, and now he's on an absolutely
is this better?
Triumphant victory lap, including threatening to sue them for $1 billion. What do you make of this?
Yes, it's a huge win for Trump, and I think there's a couple of different ways to analyze this, Piers. First of all, I've been arguing for.
So Neil Benny saying no, that's worse. It was fine before. Okay, then the chat was complaining. That's why I switched it. I'll bring back the other one then. This has an audio boost in it.
Trump, and I think there's a couple of different ways to analyze this, Piers. First of all, I've been arguing forever, it feels like, if we just had incompetence in media, wouldn't there be some stories where Donald Trump, I don't know, saved 9 kittens from drowning in the Potomac River that ends up not being true, but it goes mega viral? Everything the mainstream legacy media gets wrong about Trump, it always cuts against him. In other words, it always hurts him. That's not negligence. That's what we call bias. And that ties into the second part here. He's already been able to sue ABC. He's been able to sue CBS. He sued every news organization out there. And I do think he's gotten fairly consequential results. Use 60 Minutes for an example. They're now posting the whole part of all interviews as opposed to just editing them. I think that's actually a win for all voters out there. But Piers, to go after a foreign news organization, who's going to stand up for the BBC in America? This is such an epic win for him. But again, it also reiterates all the failures. It's why Trump has won twice. It's why he
cut the funding for the BBC. Like the BBC doesn't represent the people. Like, why are you guys paying for this? Like, how does this work? Like, why is it mandatory for you guys to pay for the BBC, especially when they're doing such a lousy job?
BBC in America. This is such an epic win for him. But again, it also reiterates all the failures. It's why Trump has won twice. It's why he is, I believe, right now, if you look at, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, the Democrats bending the knee on their 40-day shutdown, why I think he continues to be at the absolute apex of his political power, because not only are his opponents dishonest, they're also, frankly, morons, because they do things like this, which are easy to catch and which every...
You know, Nail Bunny in the chat is saying, Armin, you can do prison time for not paying it. That's insane. Guys, is the UK even a free country at all? Like, at all? Like, you know, there are more people in jail for social media posts in the UK than so many third world countries. Like, there are more people in jail for their opinion in the UK compared to some other third world, more than some other third world countries. Like, how is it like you guys are not living in a free country, which is bizarre because the whole idea of a limited government came from John Locke, which I think was studied at Oxford. Like the whole idea why the US is such a free country is because the American Revolution was based on John Locke's idea, who came from the UK. And the reason why the Europe is not as free is because the French Revolution was mostly based upon Rousseau's idea of the social contract, right? So we have Rousseau, we have Hobbes, Rousseau, and John Locke. The American Revolution was based on John Locke, and the French Revolution was mostly based on Rousseau, and that's why we have such a much more appetite for a limited government in the U.S. But it's weird because John Locke, gave us the gift, and you guys are missing out on all of the benefits from it. Let me see. We got a super chat. Thank you. Reincarnation Entertainment is saying, like and subscribe to Atheist Republic. Have a lot to talk about, Armin. Talk to you later soon. Man. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. All right. Let's continue.
Everybody can determine is 100% biased against him. This is a huge win for Trump.
Yeah, Anna Gasparian. I mean, look, I've worked at
this is going to be a huge win for Trump because from now on, if the mainstream media says anything against Trump, that is, people are going to be like, oh, this is just basically like the BBC. Like there are it's normal for Trump supporters to be skeptical of mainstream media and anything they say against Trump. But now it's going to be also normal for everybody else to be skeptical as well, because everybody is accepting that BBC fucked up here. So now non-Trump supporters are going to be skeptical about things on the media that is being said against Trump as well. So this is why this is a huge win for Trump.
BBC, not as an employee, but as a contributor many times. I've got a lot of time for people at the BBC. I think they try very hard to be an impartial news organization. But this is really bad for the BBC because it allows Donald Trump to exploit it in the way that obviously he does better than almost anyone in the history of modern politics and media. And, only last night, I suspect, realizing.
Oh shit, guys! I have the wrong background up. Sorry, guys. Let me see. Is this the right background? Yeah, that's the right background. Thank you, Kija, for telling me. I don't know. My assistant usually prepares this, and she had the wrong background up behind on top of the live stream. Thank you, Kija, for letting me know. You guys should let me know earlier. I don't know why my assistant put the wrong background for the live stream. Thank you, Kija. Yeah.
The big story is going to be this, has granted sweeping pardons to a number of long-time allies tied to an alleged failed bid to overturn the 2020 election. Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. He's taken the opportunity to do something that may have got him a lot of criticism, but is kind of being lost in the wash because the narrative around the world at the moment is BBC misled the world about Donald Trump.
Well, let me just be clear about BBC and how what they did was just flatly wrong. You don't have to be a fan of Donald Trump's to acknowledge that the way they spliced his quotes together in order to make it appear as though he was saying something that he didn't say was wrong. And when any news organization does something like that, they lose credibility. And I think that's precisely the reason why these legacy media outlets, both in the UK and quite frankly, especially here in the United States, are losing their audiences. They're losing their readership if we're talking about print journalism. And independent media is really thriving. But of course, there are also downsides.
Okay, the independent media also spreads a lot of BS. It's not just mainstream media that spread. I mean, do I need to say more? She's independent media, and she spreads a lot of BS, anti-Israeli BS on social media. So just because mainstream, it's not as simple as mainstream media bad and independent media good, and exhibit A of somebody that basically spreads a lot of bullshit on, independent media. And I think like you have some people with good takes on mainstream media. So instead of like, it's doing being so absolute as like, oh, mainstream media all bad, like, and independent media good. Like you have to judge it based on one claim at a time. Like, don't dismiss something that is on mainstream media. Just judge it individually every time you hear it.
Sides to some forms of independent media, because there's oftentimes no editorial review of the work that gets put out. But I think in general.
Oh wait, Nail Bunny in the chat is saying most people here want to keep the BBC and the license fee, but we want sweeping changes, mass sackings, etc. Why would you want to, like, is that true? Most people want to keep the license fee, but why? Just let them compete in the private sector. If they're good, they should be. If there's enough demand for their services, then for what they're producing, then they should be able to compete with other media in the free market.
Well, the public, both in the UK and the United States, trust independent sources.
So Neil Ben is saying the BBC has no advert. Well, then make it membership. People make it membership base. You get no ads, and and you get then the people who want it, they will pay for it, and the people who don't want it won't pay for it. Why should the people who don't want it pay for it? Just make it membership.
Says far more than they do.
So no, Nailman is saying that's the same as a license fee. I thought the license fee is like mandatory for people to have to pay for it.
No editorial review of the work that gets put out. But I think in general, the public, both in the UK and the United States, trust independent sources far more than they do legacy media or corporate media. At the same time, while the conversation in the UK might be about how Trump is a victim of this biased form of journalism, if you want to call it that, in the United States right now, most of the focus is on the issue of affordability, the fact that inflation has actually gone up a little bit under Trump. The last report from, our government indicates that it's up to 3.0%. He's starting to get a little desperate, so he's starting to propose tariff dividends to the tune of $2,000. So right now, I'm really happy to see that Americans are hyper-focused on affordability, which is substantive, which is important. But make no mistake.
Well, the Americans who seem to be focused on affordability are voting for the wrong people. They're voting for Mamdani. I mean, it's good to be focused on affordability, but it would be better if you actually knew what the solution is. Because the solution for affordability is not for the government to come give you free stuff. That's actually going to make things more expensive in the long run.
The media bias issue is not working in the left's favor. So if the BBC thought that they could get away with this, obviously they didn't. They need to report the facts accurately.
Yeah, and
guys, is the volume of the video too high? I could bring it lower. Is it too high? Here, I could bring it a little bit lower. Let me know. Here, is this better?
You know, Shabos, I've often joked to my BBC friends, and I have many BBC friends who've worked there before or currently work there, that you could shoot a harpoon around the BBC newsroom at any given moment, and you would be very, very, very hard pushed to hit a conservative voter, right? So I think there's got to be a sort of acknowledgement that the BBC historically has been always staffed pretty much. I mean, John, if you want to contradict me, by all means contradict me, but I think it would be fair to say most BBC employees skew liberal. And I think, Shabos, this has been part of the problem, is that inevitably, if you have a group of people...
It's not liberal. They're leftists. They're not liberal. Shauna, thank you so much for the super chat saying the UK restored the crown. They love government unlike Americans. I mean, the crown, they restored the crown. I don't know. I mean, you could be pro-government. I mean, Americans love government if the government is a limited government. I think I don't know if I would categorize like being wanting to the government to be limited doesn't make you anti-government, does it? And the crown is doesn't. I mean, you could have a monarchy, a constitutional monarchy with limited government. You could have a constitutional monarchy with a very hands-on government. You could have a republic without a monarch that is very hands-on, very involved, and you could have a republic without a monarch that is the government is very limited. So I think these are different things.
Who skew that way themselves, and I'm basing that only on how they are with me privately, then there's always this temptation to skew the coverage in a way that is very antithetical to what the BBC stands for. But like I say, this here has given Trump a brilliant opportunity to do what he loves most, which is whack the mainstream media, play the victim, and also sort of get himself, as Anna said, get himself off the rap of too much forensic attention on what are some big hot political issues on him right now.
Oh, there's
Today's
ad.
show is sponsored by Oxford. Boost your
There's
faces.
ad, there's
Green
ad, there's
off.
ad, there's ad.
Donald Trump.
By the way, guys, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I think the whole Epstein files situation is a bunch of nothing. Do you guys agree with me, or do you think there's something there? I think that I think there's people have made too much of, like, there's nothing there. There's almost nothing there. Like, most of it is just bullshit conspiracy theories. Like, I didn't spend so much time on it, but as soon as I did, I came to the conclusion that people are just making stuff up. You guys agree? Oh, you guys agree. I thought you guys were gonna push back against me. Yeah, I just did a little research, and it seems like people are just connecting dots that are not there.
The president of the United States into saying something he didn't actually say is something you literally see from the Kremlin. It's literally something.
So I think a lot of these attacks on Trump are unfair. I think if you want to criticize Trump, I think like the tariffs, focusing on the tariffs, makes sense to criticize him for. But all of this other bullshit, I think it makes no sense. Like the Epstein files or stuff like that. Oh, wait. Shauna gave us another super chat saying, okay, Canada, no priests, no kings, America, but I still agree with you. Okay, no priests, no kings, America. I don't know what you're saying, Shauna, there. But thank you for the super chat. No kings, no America, but I still, okay, I don't know what that means, but thank you.
Ann and I very much agree on this issue. The BBC splicing Donald Trump, the president of the United States, into saying something he didn't actually say is something you literally see from the Kremlin. It's literally something you see from North Korea. It's something you would have.
Oh my God. Okay. Don't, oh my God. What? It's not this. Okay. It was really crappy. It was bad journalism. It was wrong. Comparing it to the Kremlin and North Korea, I think it's a bit too much. Do you guys agree that this guy is pushing it a little bit? Oh, I still love you. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay, so now you're saying I still love you. Let me actually read it again, your super chat. Saying, okay, Canada, no priests, no kings, America, but I still love you. Oh, okay, I see that. Okay, but okay, let me, now I understand what you're saying. Okay, but you Americans, okay, Shauna, now that I understand what you're saying, let me clarify something. You Americans think that a king means, I'm kidding, by the way, I love you as well. A king and a tyrant is the same thing. Just because you had a bad experience back in the day with a king who was a tyrant, that doesn't mean that all kings, and there's a thing called a constitutional monarchy, and under a constitutional monarchy, the powers of the monarch could be very, very limited. So constitutional monarchies could be secular liberal democracies. So there you go. But I know we're joking, by the way. Yeah, what were we saying? Yeah, this was exaggerated, right? Like BBC already fucked up. You don't need to compare them to North Korea. Like, just focus on, like, you're basically doing the same things that the anti-Trump people are doing. Like, there are things that you could criticize Trump for. Editing his video to make it seem like he was encouraging a riot, insurrection, that is unfair. So now that you have this, just point that out instead of saying like this is North Korean level bullshit. Like what the fuck?
The BBC splicing Donald Trump, the president of the United States, into saying something he didn't actually say is something you literally see from the Kremlin. It's literally something you see from North Korea. It's something you would have seen in the Soviet Union. And the
Is that okay? North Korea. Sure,
problems facing the BBC are the same problems facing institutions of higher learning in the United States, where Harvard, for
So every time I see bad journalism, I'm going to be like, oh my God, this is North Korea. This is just like North Korea.
Harvard University, for example, 97% of the faculty identify as liberal.
I mean, the fact that you could call them out and sue them and embarrass them shows that this is not North Korea.
And the problems facing the BBC are the same problems facing institutions of higher learning in the United States, where Harvard University, for example, 97% of the faculty identify as liberal. And even if you are liberal, that is very dangerous.
Leftist. Liberal is, they're not liberals. They're actually against, they're anti-liberal. The leftists are not liberal. The leftists are the leftists are the main enemies of liberalism. God damn it. I mean, guys, you guys like Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk knew this. Charlie Kirk pointed this out. I should have Charlie Kirk's video ready every time somebody... Should I have that ready? Because Charlie Kirk explains the difference between leftism and liberalism really, really well. I should have that
institutions
video.
of higher learning in the United States, where Harvard University, for example, 97% of the faculty identify as liberal. And even if you are liberal, that is very dangerous for the health of a society and for the health of a democracy. And it's fascinating.
No, liberalism is the best thing for democracy. What the hell's wrong with this guy? Let me see. It's leftism that is the issue. Okay, here. I should have this every time.
So there's a difference between liberals and leftists.
Wait. Here. Every time somebody says this, I should have this ready. Here.
So there's a difference between liberals and leftists. Okay? It's a very big difference.
Tell them, Charlie. Tell them.
A difference between liberals and leftists. Okay? It's a very big difference. A liberal is someone I will disagree with, and we'll have a wonderful time. We'll go out to dinner, and we'll consider each other friends. A liberal is someone that might believe in gay marriage. They might believe in more accessible abortion. They might believe in higher taxes, and they might believe in, maybe more social welfare programs. That's a liberal. A liberal will agree to disagree. A liberal will have the conversation, and they'll say, we might not agree on this, but I still treat you with respect, and I really like you as a person. A leftist will try to shut you up before you even open your mouth. A leftist does not believe in capitalism whatsoever. A leftist is rooted in intolerance. And you see this happen all over the place in America, where college campuses get shouted down. You heard my message tonight. Do you think I'm a hateful speaker? Do you think I bring vitriol? I get labeled by...
He said I get shot. He said I get shot, and then he corrected himself.
A leftist is rooted in intolerance. And you see this happen all over the place in America, where college campuses get shouted down. You heard my message.
You actually do get shot. That was like foreshadowing.
Tonight. Do you think I'm a hateful speaker? Do you think I bring vitriol? I get labeled by groups on the left in America that I should not be allowed to speak on U.S. campuses. That I'm somehow spreading vitriol and hatred, and I'm spreading dangerous ideas. There's a difference between a liberal and a leftist.
Yes. See, Charlie understood this. Why can't other people understand this? Somebody saying, so Armin, what are you? Liberal with conservative values? I am economically, I am very right-leaning. Socially, I am center-left. On social issues, I'm center-left. On economic issues, I am as right-leaning as I could get. I'm actually far right on economic issues. On social issues, I am center-left. Yeah.
That mainstream media outlets and institutions of higher learning, they care about racial identity, sexual orientation, but the one type of diversity they don't actually care about is intellectual diversity. And that will be the death knell for so many of these once reputable institutions. And I think Elon Musk said it the best when he said, you are the media now. I mean, there's a direct correlation, I think, in the rise in popularity of your show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, and the decrease in both trust and popularity.
Yeah, somebody's saying, so you're against Trump's tariffs being far right on economics, correct? Yeah, I had multiple shows against Trump's
When he
tariffs.
said, "You are the media now." I mean, there's a direct correlation, I think, in the rise in popularity of your show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, and the decrease in both trust and popularity of mainstream media outlets like the BBC. It is because they consistently lie. It is because it has been proven that they are consistently biased. You know, the BBC had to retract on average 2 stories a week on Israel Gaza, which is more than 220 stories total. This is not an institution that either the American people or the people of Britain will actually trust anymore.
Yeah, and they should not be they should not be funded. BBC is so unfair to Israel. They're so unfair to Israel. They're basically their own Al Jazeera now. Wait, we got a super chat. Did I read that? No, I didn't. Shana is saying, yes, we think king means tyrant, although historically we were the ones who were tyrants. Well, at least our Puritans were. No, come on, Shana. America was a force for democracy, most of the time through its history. I mean, they wouldn't be any democracies in the world if it wasn't for America. So I think it's unfair to say that you were the tyrants. Yeah. So, but I know you're joking. But yeah. So more Americans need to know that king doesn't mean a dictator. But like oh, no to kings. I mean, look, Norway, like Sweden, Denmark, they all have UK. These are secular democracies, and they are constitutional monarchies. I mean, Japan, they call it an emperor, even though it's a king. In Japan, like these are democracies. They're doing very well. They're liberal. They're secular liberal democracies, and they're doing quite fine. And they have constitutional monarchy. So a king is not a tyrant, not necessarily.
Okay, Michael, I will come to you in a moment, but I want to get John's reaction to that. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think the BBC is flawed in an awful lot of ways. The funny thing is that if you work at the corporation, I think that there is a guilt of being liberal. And so the papers they look at in the UK most avid.
Guys, in fact, sorry. I'm just going to say this. In fact, the powers of a U.S. president is more than the powers of every single king in Europe. The powers of kings in Europe have been limited to so much, and the U.S. president have more executive power than any king in Europe. So when you say, like, when you have a no king protest, like, well, you have a more powerful president. You have a president that is more powerful than a king. So there you go. Wait. BT is saying, how many super chats does it take to call me June? I'll do that for free, BT June. Okay. I'll do that for free. No super chats needed, but I do appreciate the super chat. Thank you. BT June? Is that how I should say it?
Is that if you work at the corporation, I think that there is a guilt of being liberal. And so the papers they look at in the UK most avidly are the Daily Mail, are the Daily Telegraph, those that are to the right, and thinking, what should we be doing? Because we get things wrong, because we are this or that. I don't think that there's institutionally a kind of, oh, we've got to do whatever is liberal. I just think that there is, look, I think that people care massively about getting things right. I think the problem that the legacy media has got, it's not an institutional left-wing bias. It's a bit boring. And I don't.
No, it is. No, it is an institutional left-leaning bias. It is actually. And actually, it's not boring. They actually are very good at making, spend good money at making their bullshit look interesting. I've seen some of their documentaries. They do a good job in making it look interesting. So this guy is wrong. I don't know who this guy is, but he's wrong.
I don't dare I say this quietly because it's difficult to say out loud, but they'll say, on a news report, on the one hand this, on the other hand that, only time will tell. John Sopel, BBC News, Washington. No one wants to listen to that. They want to hear well-informed judgment. And I think that the kind of BBC and conventional media sacrifices so much ground by being bland and vanilla.
Nope, no, this guy is getting it wrong. They actually sometimes make documentaries look very interesting. Their problem is not that they're bland and vanilla. The problem is that they're boring.
And
No, the problem is not that they're boring. The problem is that they're biased.
being frightened of their own shadows.
Nope.
Yeah,
Wrong.
and the problem, John, actually, is that I've felt for a while the BBC business model is broken, and it's a generational thing. You know, my kids, for example, you know, my sons are 32, 28, 24. I don't think any of them are going to voluntarily pay a license fee, which is, you know, for American viewers, you have to pay like nearly $200 to have the BBC delivered to your home. And if you don't, you can
$200 a year, right?
Go to prison, right?
You go to how's it? You go to like you guys said it in the chat. I still can't believe it. If you don't pay for the BBC, you go to jail. Like what are you doing there? Like what the fuck are you doing there? Like this is a TV for this is a channel for you. You would pay for it, like or else you go to jail. Like how is that? Like guys, I haven't seen this even in some Islamic countries. Like what the fuck? Like this is a program that we have made for you. You will pay for it or you will go to jail. Like I haven't seen this in some dictatorial countries. I haven't seen that. That is insane. That is insane that you have that. Like you're on your way to becoming a third world country by this rate.
Now, for American viewers, you have to pay like nearly $200 to have the BBC delivered to your home, and if you don't, you can go to prison, right? So it's a kind of state-mandated thing. If you
do you think can't you opt out? No, you can't. I mean, if you could opt out, then who would go to jail? And we're like there would be no like people would just opt out. No, you can't opt out. Like, as I know this is something that the American, like I know I was like making fun of Americans, but this is something now we have to admire the Americans. This is so foreign to Americans. Like an American mind cannot comprehend this. Like what the fuck? Like this is why the idea of a limited government that cannot force things upon you is so normal for Americans that this just sounds so insane.
You have the BBC and you watch it, you can be literally, I mean, look at Anna shaking. This is true, right? People have literally been threatened with prison, and some of them have gone to prison for not paying the license fee. The idea that anyone under 40 who are used to paying.
Oh, Nail Bunny is saying, yes, you can opt out, but then who the fuck goes to jail? Somebody who forgot to opt out? Like, how is that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, you're saying you can opt out, then who goes to jail? Can't you just be like, well, I'll opt out. Don't put me to jail. like, so the people who go to jail are the people who just happen to forget to opt out. Like, I don't understand. If you can opt out, then who goes to jail? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, he's saying, can you send a link so I can explain this? Just write it in the chat. I'll read your comment. Wait, let me see. Graham is saying, have you seen Chabot versus Jackson Hinkle debate? No. Should I watch it? Hey, let me take it. Let me take a picture of that so I could remember to watch it. Hold on. This is how I save things. Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to remember that. Oh, let me go. We got another super chat. Mandatory public broadcast fee was also in Israel. Well, that's bullshit. Oh, saying I already have. You missed it. Where is it? Let me see. Yes, you can opt out. Can you write it again, please? Where is it? I don't see it. I'm scrolling all the way up. Okay. Somebody explain to me how it makes sense that you could go to jail for something that you could opt out. Like, sir, do you want to opt out, pay, or go to jail? I'll choose jail. Okay. Wait. Saying no, Armin. It was you just not go to jail if you didn't pay. Yeah. So if somebody doesn't want to pay, why wouldn't they just opt out? This is crazy. I don't know
what they want to pay for streamers like Amazon, Netflix, and so on. That they're going.
So the only way this makes sense is that you didn't opt out, you got the service, and now you're not paying for it, right?
To prison for not paying the license fee. The idea that anyone under 40 who are used to paying what they want to pay for streamers like Amazon, Netflix, and so on, that they're going to do that, I think is for the birds. So,
okay, so if that's the case, it shouldn't be an opt-out policy. It should be an opt-in policy. Like, it shouldn't be, the default shouldn't be that everybody is opt-in until they opt out. The default should be that you're opt-out unless you decide to opt-in. It's kind of like, this is like a scam. Like, oh, you forget to opt out. Whoopsie. Now you go to jail. What the fuck? Like, ask me if I want it first. Oh, there we go. We got an explanation. Neilbert is saying, if you have a TV and a service like Sky or Virgin, which delivers BBC content, then you are getting the content and you have to pay. It's just like a streaming service. Okay, but how do they know if I'm watching it? Like, if I have a TV, like I saw a video that somebody showed up for the government and they were like, oh, you have a TV, you have to pay. So if you have a TV, so how could I opt out if I have a TV? Can I not have those channels? Can I figure out a way that that those channels are not on my TV? You can have a TV and not get a service which BBC is on it. Okay, sounds weird. You can have a TV and not get a service. Okay. So, but that seems so complicated. Why don't you just have a normal membership? Like, oh, you haven't paid, so you don't get the service. If you pay, you get the service. Like, instead of like, here's the service, and now if you don't pay, you go to jail. Like, just make it like a normal membership. You get the service when you pay us. Like, why not just do that? Why not? You get the service when you pay us. This seems like a scam. It's like how hiding things in the fine print. Like, here it is. Like, if you don't want it, you have to find ways not to get it so that you don't go to jail.
the idea that anyone under 40 who are used to paying what they want to pay for streamers like Amazon, Netflix, and so on, that they're going to do that, I think is for the birds. So I do feel, John, that the BBC business model is unsustainable. And this doesn't help them because, you know, ultimately, unlike everybody else, the BBC is funded by the British taxpayer. And that gives them a unique place in British public life, a unique responsibility. And I just feel like this is what we're...
It's bad for competition. It's unfair to other media. If they're taxpayer funded, then it's unfair to private media.
We're seeing is the beginning of the end, not of the BBC, but of the BBC's entitlement to charge the British public nearly $200 for the pleasure of enjoying their stuff without it being a voluntary thing.
Look, the BBC has a guaranteed income.
Look, he just said that it's not a voluntary thing. So I don't understand. How could you? Because I thought you guys just said that you could opt out. So how is it not voluntary then?
To charge the British public nearly $200 for the pleasure of enjoying their stuff without it being a voluntary thing.
Look.
So it's not voluntarily, it's forced upon everybody?
The BBC has a guaranteed income of £3 billion, $3.5–4 billion a year. Which media organization in today's cutthroat competitive world wouldn't die to have that sort of guaranteed income? But what is happening now, and look, you know, I used to, when I was the BBC's North America editor, I'd appear on our main nightly news. The average age of those watching our nightly news are over 60. Young people, like you say, Piers, I don't know whether my kids pay the license fee or not, but I mean, you know, I need to check that. But of course, what you've got now is you had Boris Johnson, the former prime minister, this week coming out and saying, as a result of this row, I am no longer going to pay the license fee. Screw the consequences. Well, of course, if Boris Johnson is enabling those sort of people to think that he can do it, then an awful lot of people are going to stop paying the license fee. And then the BBC is going to be in a situation where it's got to have all these services offering radio and television.
What if I just watch it on YouTube? Like, they have a YouTube channel. Like what do I, if I'm in the UK and I'm watching it on YouTube and I don't have a TV, do I still have to pay for it? Like, are they gonna send spies to be like, oh, I see one of your tabs says BBC, you have to pay. Like, what? Like, they have a YouTube channel. I could just watch it on YouTube.
And online and podcasts, whatever else, and a declining revenue because people are voting with their feet and saying, you know what, I'm not paying anymore. So I think the model, as it's currently configured, is bad for the BBC. And what's happened in the past week is, just to put a British phrase on it, bloody awful.
Yeah, I think that's perfect summary. Michael Blake, thank you for your patience in waiting. You're a former Obama aide. You're a Mamdani surrogate in New York. You're running the Congress in the Bronx. Obviously, a very exciting time for anyone connected to Mamdani. He's come along like a kind of socialist version of Trump. He's very charismatic, very dynamic. He brings people with him. He's a populist in a way, but on the socialist side. It's a big moment, it feels to me, for left-wing politics in America. As to
wait, John in the chat is saying, I watch and read BBC and I don't pay anything from Finland. Okay, guys, we need the MI6 on this. Somebody send somebody send somebody to Finland and arrest this man. John, that's illegal.
Which way are they going to go? And a lot may hinge on how Mamdani.
Nobody's saying BBC doesn't have a YouTube channel. They do have a YouTube channel. I'm subscribed to their YouTube channel.
The socialist side. It's a big moment, it feels to me, for left-wing politics in America as to which way they're going to go. And a lot may hinge on how Mamdani does in New York. If he fails to deliver on all of his big, grandiose promises, which I have to say, I fear he will, then that could become a sword of Damocles against the Democrats going into 2028. Conversely, if he's able to really tackle affordability in a...
How is he going to tackle affordability? Guys, there's only one solution for affordability everywhere. There's only one solution. Do you know what that solution is? It's very simple. It's very simple. You don't need to know a lot of economic jargons and go do a lot of math, do a lot of research. There's not that much you need to do. The only thing you need to do to make things more affordable, it is get the government out. Get the government out of things, of everything and anything that has nothing to do with security, corruption, increasing competition, adjusting external positive and negative externalities, and maybe for some giant projects, private-public partnerships. Other than this, get the government, and also foreign affairs. Other than this, get the government out of every damn thing, and things will become more affordable. Technology will make things more affordable if you get the government out. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. That's it. That's all you need to do.
Meaningful way that looks like it's worked in New York. That could well be the way that the Democrats win power in 2028 nationally. What is your view?
Well, first, to the previous conversation, given my role with Next Level Sports, I would also agree that there is no acceptable form of editing out factual information. And quite frankly, if they would just let the whole thing play, we wouldn't be having the conversation right now, because Donald Trump clearly said rhetoric that was reprehensible and unacceptable. There was no reason to make those edits in that regard. People are speaking and seeking the truth. As it relates to Zohran, our mayor-elect, I ran in the mayoral primary, and Zohran and I cross-endorsed each other, and largely because we talked about a cost of living and affordability being the number one issue. When people are wondering right now, when 1 in 4 New Yorkers are wondering around poverty and paying of their bills, that is far more important than anything else that is happening here. I served in the assembly for 6 years, and prior to that, worked with President Obama. And to your point, Pierce, that yes, there will be people that are, quite frankly, hoping that not everything is accomplished. But let me tell you, There is no elected official that can accomplish every single thing that they have stated. And so there has to be the element of saying, how do we address and make progress on these opportunities around cost of living and affordability, which he will.
See,
when you think about what
they're backing out already, they're backing like, oh, no political official will be able to do everything that they promised. You know, now that they have been elected, now that Mamdani has been elected, the excuses are going to come in. Okay, because most of what Mamdani promised is either he's not going to be able to do it, or if he is able to do it, it's going to make things worse. So for the next couple of years, you're going to see them coming up with excuses for why they didn't do things, and they're going to probably blame the establishment a lot. They're going to be like, they didn't let us, they didn't allow us to do the things that we wanted to do,
and paying of their bills. That is far more important than anything else that is happening here. I served in the assembly for 6 years, and prior to that, worked with President Obama. And to your point, Pierce, that yes, there will be people that are quite frankly hoping that not everything is accomplished. But let me tell you, there is no elected official that can accomplish every single thing that they have stated. Yeah. And so
these are the excuses, or you haven't even started, and now you're starting the excuses.
There has to be the element of saying, how.
Wow, somebody in the chat is saying Mamdani is a Zionist puppet. Are you kidding me? This is a joke, right? This is true.
How do we address and make progress on these opportunities around cost of living and affordability, which he will. When you think about what has to happen around groceries, when you think about transportation, when you think about changing the model of what is happening in our communities, he will be able to have success around that. And when we think about what's happening collectively, whether it be internationally and or domestic, everyone is wondering right now, will you be real with me, direct with me about the challenges that we're facing and fight for me? And when you think about last night, what we saw with the Senate and the frustration of Senate Democrats caving, quite frankly, why would you have the energy that was achieved last Tuesday and not continue to fight? It is actually more expensive for your...
Because the government needed funding? Because the government needed funding, maybe? And because the people were tired of the government not getting funding?
Of Senate Democrats caving, quite frankly. Why would you have the energy that was achieved last Tuesday and not continue to fight? It is actually more expensive.
Because it was the longest government shutdown ever? Maybe that's the reason?
For your medical bills and what happens around ACA than it will be for SNAP. And it is inhumane that Senate Democrats are working with Republicans to effectively say you have to choose between meals or Medicare. So when you think about what's happening here in...
If you want people to not have to choose between their health and their food, then get the fuck out of healthcare, you fucking idiots. Like, what has Obamacare done? Like, you just made things worse. Like, the fact that you need extra subsidies to make this going, it just shows that none of this is working, you fucking idiots.
New York with Mayor-elect Mamdani and the wins that happened across the country, the reason why there's such momentum, where Pierce, he received more than 1 million votes, is that people are listening to how he is addressing cost of living. Why am I running for Congress in the Bronx?
Okay.
Because we are still the poorest congressional district in America. This is all intertwined in how you fight for the core issue of affordability, and that's why he will be successful.
Wait,
think that Mamdani appears. Yeah, the big problem, it seems to me, Clay Travis, is the word affordability works both ways. I don't think that Mamdani is going to be able to afford to do all the things he's promised voters he will do. Socialism has never worked on any sustained period anywhere in the world. I don't really see how it's going to start working in New York. And many people think he's not just a socialist, but a communist, talking about wanting to take control of productivity and all that kind of stuff.
Take control of productivity? You mean I think he means the means of production? Did Piers Morgan meant to say means of production, and then he said take control of productivity? I think that's what he meant to say, right? I think he doesn't know. Is that what he wanted to say? Take control of productivity. I think he meant the means of production.
Is going to be able to afford to do all the things he's promised voters he will do. Socialism has never worked on any sustained period anywhere in the world. I don't really see how it's going to start working in New York. And many people think he's not just a socialist, but a communist, talking about wanting to take control of productivity and all that kind of.
That's not a saying by communists, taking control of productivity. I think he doesn't know the phrase. I think he meant to say, because he did say that he wants to take control over the means of production, which is a communist thing to say. I think that's what Piers Morgan was wanting to remember to say, but he doesn't know the saying. Taking control of. No, Amir saying, I think he's washing it. No, I think he just doesn't know the phrase. I think he just doesn't know the communist phrase. He just know that there was something regarding production in it, and he said productivity. G saying he misspoke, needs a struggle session. Yeah, maybe.
Kind of stuff. It'll be fascinating. I don't dispute for a moment he's not a very charismatic, very capable guy who is a very
charismatic, yes. Capable in what?
Skilled
exactly?
Young politician. I don't dispute any of those things. I just dispute his ability to afford to tackle affordability.
I would say a couple of things. I mean, Zohran Mamdani is someone who his ridiculous posturing is really unfathomable. This is someone who has said that he has really no thoughts on whether Hamas should disarm, but also believes that Benjamin Netanyahu needs to be arrested. This is someone who says, yeah, I talk about affordability. I don't care about the Middle East, when he has literally stated that Palestine is the center of his politics. Forget about anti-Semitism and forget about Israel. His policies, if even a tenth of them were implemented on New York City, would be so wildly destructive. This is someone who believes that we need to have a $30 minimum wage in New York City, which would kill small businesses. This is someone who believes that in the financial capital of the world, there should not be billionaires, which is ludicrous, because in order for any of his policies to actually succeed, whether it's free buses, free healthcare, free grocery stores, you actually need billionaires and millionaires in this city to pay for all of those things. This is someone who has literally said that we should tax white neighborhoods. This is someone who believes that government-run grocery stores is not only a good idea, but actually we should be building more of them, which is ludicrous because there are people living in this country today who came from Cuba and Venezuela in boats because of things like government-run grocery stores. Policies would be so wildly destructive, and it bothers me to no end that someone who is so obviously a chameleon, a charlatan, whose previous experience was a failed rapper, the self-proclaimed son of a Nepo baby, was somehow able to fool more than 1 million New Yorkers into thinking that his populist agenda will ever succeed, which is why you have one of his surrogates today already stating he's probably not going to be able to implement any of these policies, because of course he won't. And if I could just say with 30 more seconds, Michael, I live in the district that you are running in. Richie Torres is my congressman. And it's interesting because I watched your campaign release video and you talk about Richie Torres is interested in funding the genocide and AIPAC and all this. It's funny because New York State Assemblyman Simcha Eichenstein, he said that just a few months ago, you called him and you begged him to endorse him. And you specifically said that you were the most pro-Israel candidate in the race with a record to reflect it. But of course, now that Zohran Mamdani won, you're kind of changing your tune, which is the exact same reason that last night you deleted on all of your Twitter accounts, you deleted any references to the fact that you've spoken at AIPAC, you've received money from AIPAC, you support Israel. And I got to say, the fact that you make Richie Torres out as a congressman who only cares about Israel, in the last year, Richie Torres has proposed the Women's Health Protection Act, the Paycheck Fairness Act, the Bipartisan Background Checks Act, the Healthcare Affordability Act, the Bodega Act, the Food Desert Act. And in fact, I don't know if the camera will be able to see this, but just this morning, Richie Torres is meeting with business leaders in the Bronx today to talk about SNAP and how disastrous the government shutdown has been. Meanwhile, you, Michael Blake, are yelling at one of his constituents on TV. Having a government shutdown is disastrous to the people in our district. But you're actually stating that, no, the Democrats should not open the government, and that people in my district, in our district, who rely on food stamps, they should not receive it because Democrats need to continue to have this government shutdown. So let me first of many constituents who say that I will not be voting for you, and I cannot wait for you to receive less than 1% of the vote, which is exactly what you received when you ran for mayor of New York.
Michael, just one question.
Wow, that guy just annihilated him. Holy crap. That guy, like, I don't know what the fuck. That was pretty intense.
Question that I would like to ask you after what we just heard. Is it true you've been deleting all references as
got wrecked, you know, right, Torres? It got wrecked. that was beautiful. That was masterful.
Shabos said in the last 24 hours to
BT June is saying fucking mic drop. Yeah, no.
Any pro-Israel sentiments and work you've done for pro-Israel organizations?
That is inaccurate. Let's walk through the facts that were just stated. What has been deleted were previous experiences and trips that happened with AIPAC, as I stated that there has been a journey that I've been on from the initial time of visiting, because I've been to Israel twice, and it was not anti-Israel, pro-Israel specific to that, and it was not in the last 24 hours. Second, I actually received more than 200,000 votes in the mayoral election. What has been referenced was the first choice election. So to that point, that data was inaccurate. Third, what was repeatedly stated was I never said that Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect, would not be able to achieve everything. I said that there is no elected official who can achieve everything. Fourth, I have repeatedly stated that having a criticism around where AIPAC as an organization currently stands, where to your comment, Richie Torres by itself has acknowledged that he has spoken about what is happening 236% more than he has around poverty, that you can be against AIPAC as an organization and not be anti-Israel. And we cannot conflate.
Yeah, but the fact is that you were posting them before, but now that you're on Mamdani's side, you deleted them. Now your excuse, like the fact is that you were okay with them before, and now you're not.
Okay.
You're a two-faced
I
liar.
am
But
an
Michael,
ordained
if I can
reverend
jump
who
in,
has been to
Michael,
Israel
but
twice.
Michael,
Yes, please.
Michael, just to jump in, why did you delete all references to you appearing with AIPAC?
Why did you delete them?
Probably
Because there's been a complete shift in where things.
Ah, shut up, Anna. Shut up, Anna. You shut the fuck up.
Please.
Michael, just to jump in, why did?
No, because he joined the anti-Semitic side. That's why.
Did you delete all references to you appearing with AIPAC?
I was gonna say something else. Shit.
Probably
because there's been a complete shift in where things.
Shut up.
When we think about where AIPAC has gone, there's a substantial shift on where AIPAC has been and where it.
No, AIPAC is doing what AIPAC always did. Like, what the fuck nothing has changed.
It's going from here. And I think when we talk about the journey that we're all on, I've been very clear on that.
Okay. Okay. John, I know you've got to leave us. Thank you very much indeed for your contribution. Couldn't think of a better person, actually, than the BBC's former North American. And I have to say, when I used to watch you and the way you covered and reported Trump and handled him, I thought it was an absolute template in how somebody from the BBC should do what is a difficult job. So I miss you doing that, actually. But great to have you on the Uncensored. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed you very much. Thanks, John. Let me come back to Clay. We've got you back, Clay. I want to play you a clip from Fox News anchor Tommy Lahren warning Republican voters to wake up after the results we saw last week.
He makes a good point there, but I will say this. I think that it's always a bad idea when Republicans get too cocky. I think we've done this before. We've seen this movie before. The red waves that were always supposed to crash that never happened. So whereas I do agree that these elections aren't necessarily a bellwether. We talked about it last weekend. New Jersey, we wanted to win. We made some gains, didn't win it. Virginia, yeah, we maybe didn't have the best candidate. We lost it. New York City, they elected a socialist. You played yourself. But I do think Republicans would be wise to maybe have a wake-up call here and realize that we can't take anything for granted.
What do you think of that, Clay? I mean, look,
Republicans are just turning on each other as well. You know, you guys remember when there was this phrase, "The left eats itself," or something like that? Yeah. What was that phrase? What was that saying? Now, this is now true for the right-leaning people as well.
You can't dispute that the Democrats collectively had a very good week. All that Mamdani may be a socialist, but the other big winners for the Democrats last week were actually quite moderate. Does that send you a little alarm bell?
A little bit. Look, Tommy works with me at Outkick. She's super smart and very talented in breaking down everything. And really what you have to go to here is the reality, Piers. 600,000 people didn't show up in Virginia. 600,000 people didn't show up in New Jersey that voted for Donald Trump in 2024, just 1 year ago. Now, I know it's an off-year election, and generally speaking, you're not going to have the same turnout. But if those same people had turned up, Trump actually got more votes than the governor of Virginia and more votes than the governor of New Jersey. Why did those people not show up? And I think one of the things...
Because it wasn't a presidential election. The fuck?
A year ago. Now, I know it's an off-year election, and generally speaking, you're not going to have the same turnout.
Yeah.
But if those same people had turned up, Trump actually got more votes than the governor of Virginia and more votes than the governor of
Wait, I don't understand. Don't people just care more about presidential elections and that's just a normal thing? What the fuck is this guy on
New
about?
Jersey. Why did those people not show up? And I think one of the things that we have learned and should be ominous in 2026 is the people who hate Trump, they show up to vote for dog catcher. They show up to vote for their local community council.
No, they don't. Like, people show up for presidential elections way more than any other election.
Show up to vote for school boards. The people who love Trump show up when Trump is on the ballot. And that is one of the things that I think the Republican Party has to think about in 26 and 28, because mark my words, they're going to quickly pivot in 2027, Piers, from Donald Trump is Hitler, he's the worst person who's ever existed in the history of the world, to the Republican Party is never going to have anyone as talented as President Trump. He is a unicorn political genius. And so they are never going to be able to bring out the voters that he did. And that, until we see what happens in 26 and 28, is, I think, the best argument that the Democrat.
Guys, in the future elections, the upcoming elections in the US, do you think anti-Israeli views are going to become a much bigger part of American politics in the upcoming elections? What do you guys think? Like, we have to in 26 and 28, are we going to see a bigger portion of American politicians being anti-Israeli? What's your prediction?
Party has. And in fact, Piers, shamelessly, I know you got a book. I encourage everybody to go buy that. This book also came out, and it's all about how young men in America move towards Trump. Sports fans move towards Trump. But how do Republicans keep them going forward? And what
this guy is here to just say, Trump, notice me. Please, Trump. Like, I think that's his book, and his everything he's saying is basically an attempt to get on Trump's good side, I think, huh? Is that what he's doing?
does the future look like? The other thing Tommy has said, and I think she's right.
Yeah, it's a book about balls.
Women, young women in particular.
Shauna is saying, no, Americans are tired of hearing about overseas issues. Is that right, Shauna? Is that the case?
Are voting Democrat at record levels. How do you start to break into that monolithic Democrat Party base? Trump with.
Are they going to continue to be tired if Trump attacks Venezuela, or is it going to start grabbing a little more attention again? Because I don't know. Is Trump going to attack Venezuela? Is this going to happen? Like, is this real? What do you guys think in the chat?
Young women in particular are voting Democrat at record levels. How do you start to break into that monolithic Democrat Party base? Trump.
I think some people are going to say with people like Nick Fuentes, that's how you do it. Unfortunately, I think some people are going to say that's the answer, and they might not be wrong, that's their only solution. That's your only solution. The only solution is, unfortunately, I mean, it's a horrible solution, but for you guys to become relevant and push back, I mean, that's the way right now. Unfortunately, that's what works.
Young women in particular are voting Democrat at record levels. How do you start to?
Yeah, by the way, guys, the politics all around the world is getting more male versus female. Have you noticed that? More women are becoming left-leaning and more men are becoming right-leaning. And it's politics in Japan, in South Korea, in US, and many other developed countries is becoming a man versus woman situation, which is kind of dangerous if we have the battle of the sexes. That is really bad if this is actually like that. So Shauna is saying only 4% of Americans vote based on international policy. If it's close to the border, I think we will get more hawkish, though. Okay, interesting. Thank you for that. Interesting. Okay.
Break into that monolithic Democrat Party base. Trump with white men, black men, Asian men, Hispanic men is doing great. In fact, look at the.
Oh, wait, we got another super chat that I forgot to read. Mandatory public broadcast fee was also. Oh, no, I already read that. So that makes you remove these. unstar. Okay.
Those returns, the Republicans still won in Virginia and New Jersey, men, but women voted in overwhelming majorities against them. We got to change that.
All right, I just want to say something too, which is that Mamdani.
You're not going to be able to change that. Women are going to be more left-leaning, and there's nothing you could do about that. I mean, you could try to get some of them, but you're not going to be able to change this trend. I mean, you're going to be able to change it to some degree, but not much. Guys, this is going to continue. More men are going to get right-leaning, and more women are going to get left-leaning, and this is very dangerous. The fact that politics is going to be, the war between two sexes is really dangerous for our future. Like we would like to have a situation where we think men and women are together and fighting together on the same side, on both sides, but this is going to get very, very dangerous.
I can't work out whether he is a blessing.
Amir is saying, I'm a very feminine man, so I'm probably a centrist. Okay.
Or a curse for the left. For the reasons I said earlier, that he could turn out to be a brilliantly inspiring leader of New York, transform the city. Many people don't think he can, including me, but he could do, in which case, obviously, he becomes a blessing. But he can't run for president. He wasn't born in the United States. But what he stands for could then be something that somebody like AOC or someone like that could run with. Or conversely, if it all goes to hell in a handcart in New York and he gets exposed as a very young, very, very inexperienced guy who talked a great game but couldn't deliver it, that could become a massive stick to beat the Democrats with, in 2026 and probably 2028. What do you feel about Mamdani? Because he is, he's the superstar of American politics right now after Trump.
He's a super villain.
I think what was so appealing about Zohran Mamdani.
Oh no, I get it. Let's guess, guys. Let's guess. What does Anna find appealing about Mamdani? It wouldn't have anything to do with Israel, would it? It would not, probably not. Probably something else. Would it be about Israel? Would it be about Israel? Nah. It's probably something else. It's probably something else, is it? Let's ponder. Let's think about this.
What do you feel about Mamdani? Because he is, he's the superstar of American politics right now after Trump.
I think what was so appealing about Zohran Mamdani was the fact that he really stood out as a young, charismatic, anti-establishment candidate. And he got incredibly lucky in that the field running against him was, let me just be generous and say pathetic. I mean, Andrew Cuomo was his main political opponent. And Cuomo has just a devastating record when you consider the fact that he made the decision to send elderly individuals who had COVID back to nursing homes where they then spread it and killed elderly people in nursing homes. Of course, Zohran Mamdani got lucky in regard to all of the other subpar individuals who ran against him. At the same time, I don't know if his policies are going to work, right? I'm excited to
I know. They're not.
To see what the outcome will be. What I just found particularly disgusting about how the news media in the United States covered that particular election is that most of the focus was on something he has no jurisdiction over whatsoever, and that's foreign policy. I don't care.
Well, that's what he said he got into politics for. He said he got into politics for the sake of Palestine. So obviously, people are going to ask him about that.
The United States covered that particular election is that most of the focus was on something he has no jurisdiction over whatsoever, and that's foreign policy. I don't care about what his.
Well, he said if he's gonna try to get Netanyahu arrested if he comes to New York.
Views are in regard to what's happening in the Middle.
Okay, she's lying. She does care. She's lying.
At least I'm going to venture to say New Yorkers didn't care that much until it became a political issue, and media just kept asking him about his thoughts on Israel. And let me just say,
okay, it is about Israel. She's just acting like it's not. It is about Israel.
To Shabos, I'm trying to be a little better today and not yell at you, but I will.
Because last time you looked like an insane person because you were just shouting at this man all the time.
Say this. I wholeheartedly disagree with your sentiment in regard to Zohran Mamdani saying that he would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is a disgusting war criminal.
Okay, so guys, it is about Israel. She just tried to bury it until to the very end. Netanyahu is a war hero. He's not a war criminal. And Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the greatest war heroes that history has ever seen. And that's how history is going to eventually remember him.
In regard to Zohran Mamdani saying that he would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is a disgusting war criminal who currently has a warrant out for his arrest from the International Criminal.
Yeah, actually, that makes him a bigger hero. The fact that the world is so unfair to him, even though he managed to remove more terrorists than any other leader ever in 2 years. He managed to decapitate more terrorist organizations than any world leader ever in such a short amount of time. And the world, instead of thanking him, condemned him and put out a warrant for his arrest, which makes him even a bigger hero. Oh, hold on. We got a super chat. Shana is saying it's about Israel in New York City because that's where most of American Jews live. Yeah, I think I mean, yeah, and Shana, and also it's about Israel because he got so much notice when he said in the debate that I will not travel to Israel. People were like, oh my God, look at that. He won't travel to Israel. That's the first video that came out of that made him go viral. That was the first thing. That was the spark.
Court. I think Zohran Mamdani standing up and saying that was actually very appealing to New Yorkers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what she's referring to.
Her sentiment in regard to Zohran Mamdani saying that he would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a
So it is about Israel. You fucking she lied. She was like, oh, nobody cares about look, did you guys saw what just happened here? And I was like, nobody cares about foreign policy. It's not about foreign policy. But let me congratulate Zohran for his fantastic take on saying that he would arrest Netanyahu when it comes to New York. Nobody cares about that, but that was amazing. That was amazing. I love it. Congratulations. That was a fantastic take, which nobody cares about, but it was amazing. Okay.
Disgusting war criminal who currently has a warrant out for his arrest from the International Criminal Court. I think Zohran Mamdani standing up and saying that was actually very appealing to New Yorkers because it shows that he does not believe in a two-tier justice system where some individuals deserve punishment.
Two-tier justice system. It's not his jurisdiction, and it's not even America's jurisdiction. America is not a signatory to the International Criminal Court.
But
Court of
others,
Justice.
including literal war criminals who have engaged in mass slaughter, get to show up to the United States and get away with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Piers, I think
what was
it's also important
fascinating
to
to me,
add
Nobody condemned by that court needs to be arrested on U.S. soil because United States is not a signatory.
hang on, Michael.
Just
Hang on,
from a stat
Michael.
point, Piers.
Michael, hang on a sec. Yeah, hang on. I just want to come to Shabbos about one point, which is it was extraordinary that so many young Jews in New York voted for Mamdani, who was simultaneously being branded a kind of Hamas supporter and so on, which I thought was actually a mischaracterization.
He did when they asked him if he condemns Hamas, he refuses to answer. What do you mean a mischaracterization? Wait, what the fuck are you talking about?
Hang on, Michael.
Just
hang on,
from a
Michael.
stat point, Piers.
Michael, hang on a sec. Yeah, hang on. I just want to come to Shabbos about one point, which is it was extraordinary that so many young Jews in New York voted for Mamdani, who was simultaneously being branded a kind of Hamas supporter and so on, which I thought was actually a mischaracterization.
Wait a minute, Piers Morgan, haven't you called out people on your show for not condemning Hamas? And say, isn't that suspicious if somebody refuses to condemn Hamas? So how is that a mischaracterization? That seems actually quite fitting.
Jews in New York voted for Mamdani, who was simultaneously being branded a kind of Hamas supporter and so on, which I thought was actually a mischaracterization.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's quite fitting, actually,
of what he said on the record. But it was extraordinary and notable that more Jews under, I think it was the age of 35, voted for Mamdani than voted for Cuomo.
Yeah, they're idiots. What? You think Jews cannot be idiots? We have stupidity among all race ethnicities, including Jews. You know, there's a lot of American Jews who have been brainwashed by leftist ideology. So it doesn't make them like, oh my God, Jews voted for him. So fucking what? They're idiots.
How did that happen? Why did that happen?
Yeah, I think it's easy to explain. But first of all, let me say I appreciate, Anna, you not yelling at me. And I spend a lot of time in LA now. So next time we're in the same city, let's get a drink. Piers Morgan will sponsor it. I'll say two things.
I love this.
If you
I think Anna is dying inside. Look at her. I think she's about to puke.
look at the Jews who voted for Zohran Mamdani, these are Jews who are overwhelmingly have zero affiliation with the Jewish day school, have zero affiliation with the Jewish synagogue, can't speak Hebrew, can't point to Israel on a map, can't identify one of the commandments outside of
Oh my God. You don't need to be able to point to the commandments. You need to just be able to have some understanding, just a few basic understanding of your history, and just a little bit of understanding of politics, and just a little bit of a common sense. Like what? How would that help? Like, how would it help if you know the commandments? It's not going to help. It's not going to help. You don't need to know the commandments to be able to say that, yes, supporting a man who doesn't condemn Hamas, who kills a genocide-loving terror organization that wants to kill every fucking Jew in the world, the man that doesn't condemn that, yeah, we shouldn't be voting for it. You don't need to know the Torah to be able to understand that.
For Cuomo, how did that happen? Why did that happen?
Yeah, I think it's easy to explain. But first of all, let me say I appreciate, Anna, you not yelling at me. And I spend a lot of time in LA now. So next time we're in the same city, let's.
Yeah, Carlson, what's his point? This guy is making the point that the Jews in New York who voted for Mamdani are not real Jews because they don't know the Torah. I think from all the criticisms that you could make against them, this is like they're idiots who are voting for somebody who supports anti-Jewish terrorists. Like, that's what you should be pointing out. You don't need to go to the Torah for this.
How did that happen? Why did that happen?
Yeah, I think it's easy to explain. But first of all, let me say I appreciate, Anna, you not yelling at me. And I spend a lot of time in LA now. So next time we're in the same city, let's get a drink. Piers Morgan will sponsor it. I'll say two things.
I love this.
If you look at the Jews who voted for Zohran Mamdani, these are Jews who are overwhelmingly have zero affiliation with the Jewish day school, have zero affiliation with the Jewish synagogue, can't speak Hebrew, can't point to Israel on a map, can't.
So they're not real Jews? Is he doing a no true Scotsman fallacy? Is that what he's saying?
Identify one of the commandments outside of Tikkun Olam, which out of 613 Jewish commandments, it's not one.
Guys, if you're Jew enough for Hitler, then you're a Jew. Okay? If you're Jew enough for Hitler, then you're a Jew. And I don't think that's how Israel defines who's a Jew. And I don't think Hitler was checking who knows the Torah.
Zero affiliation with the Jewish synagogue, can't speak Hebrew, can't point to Israel on a map, can't identify one of the commandments outside of Tikkun Olam, which out of 613 Jewish commandments, it's not one of them. These are Jews who really have very little Jewish education, but
they're just not religious. They're Jews. If you're not religious, then you're not a Jew? What the hell?
Have a lot of radical far left ideologies, and then they use their Judaism and they use their Jewish identity.
Yeah, just say that. Say they have radical far left ideologies. Don't say they're not Jewish enough. That's actually insane. Hold on. BT June is saying Matthew in chat needs help finding his kier. What? The Jew stole it. What the okay, that's okay. All right. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right, hold on.
identity as sort of a scapegoat to advance their political agenda, which is why, for example, when a canvasser came to my door in the Bronx.
Oh no, Amir, don't put, if people are being assholes in the chat, like, I don't know, you decide. But if they're not spamming, it's okay. It's okay.
Left ideologies, and then they use their Judaism and they use their Jewish identity as sort of a scapegoat to advance their political agenda, which is why, for example, when a canvasser came to my door in the Bronx and said, you know, I'm a Jew from Mamdani and I'm voting for Zohran Mamdani because of my Jewish identity, and you, sir, should be voting for Zohran Mamdani because of your Jewish identity. I said, okay, well, if that's true, if your Jewish identity is so central to your political identity, then you should be able to answer a very basic question on said Jewish identity. And I asked her what this week's Torah portion is, which was only 2 weeks after the holiday.
Oh my God. Is that how you test if somebody is a Jew? What's this week's Torah?
Jewish
what?
identity is so central to your political identity, then you should be able to answer a very basic question on said Jewish identity. And I asked her what this week's Torah portion is, which was only
This week's Torah portion. If you can't answer that, you're not a real Jew. You cannot cannot be a Jew if you don't know the answer to that question. I think that's ridiculous. Guys, do you guys agree that, like, there's so much other things that you could criticize these people for? The fact that they're so brainwashed that they're voting for Mamdani, who actually supports a whole bunch of terrorists, who doesn't recognize Israel as a nation state, who doesn't condemn Hamas. Isn't that enough to criticize them? Why are you taking away the Jewish identity just because they don't know the answer to that question? That is ridiculous. This is like, if I go to somebody say like, oh, I'm a proud Iranian. If I tell them like, well, tell me in the book Shahnameh, which is the most important Persian poetry book in Persian culture, do you know what this character did to that character in this book? Like, no, then you don't dare call yourself an Iranian if you don't know the details of the Shahnameh. Like, what the fuck? That is insane. That is insane. That should not be how you determine who's a Jew and who's not a Jew.
That's true. If your Jewish identity is so central to your political.
Wait, guys, do you guys have the answer to this question? Like the Jews in the chat. Like he's saying this week's Jewish what? Like, do you guys know the answer to this?
Judaism, and they use their Jewish identity as sort of a scapegoat to advance their political agenda, which is why, for example, when a canvasser came to my door in the Bronx and said, you know, I'm a Jew from Mamdani and I'm voting for Zohran Mamdani because of my Jewish identity, and you, sir, should be voting for Zohran Mamdani because of your Jewish identity. I said, okay, well, if that's true, if your Jewish identity is so central to your political identity.
Okay, guys, my Iranian identity is very central to me, and I don't know much about the Shahnameh. Am I a fake Iranian?
Then you should be able to answer a very basic question on said Jewish identity. And I asked her what this week's Torah portion is.
Okay, guys, Jews in the chat, what is this week's Torah portion? Is that what he said? Answer this question, or else you're not a really serious Jew. What is Jews in the chat? Amir, I'm looking at you. Torah, your name is Torah. What is this week's BT? Everyone else. Okay. Amir, you answered that with a question mark, so you're not very sure. No, you're not a Jew anymore. Okay, wait, what else? So nobody else has to. Oh, BT! No, that's not fair. Okay, BT actually. Oh, Torah is not sure. Torah, who is a very religious Jew, I think, is not sure. So Torah, you're the most religious Jew here. You're the most religious Jew in the chat, and you are not sure. Amir is saying, man, I suck at being a Jew. And they still try to kill me. Amir, you're amazing. Yeah, Torah, guys, Torah doesn't know. You're all doomed. You're all doomed. None of you, if Torah doesn't know, none of you pass. You're not. None of you are Jews. None of you are Jews. You all suck at being Jews. Hey, you two. I'm just kidding. Okay, like this is a joke. Oh, Torah is sad. I'm kidding. Torah, don't be sad. I love you. Okay. Okay. Torah saying I will read it tomorrow. Okay, but you wouldn't pass this man's test. And you're religious. Like the question that he asked of these people to see how seriously the Jewish identity is, Torah, who is, his name is after Torah, like that's how religious he is. He didn't know. So I think I'm not, you guys actually didn't do anything wrong. This guy's standards are too high. Like, if Torah doesn't know, that means that was too tough of a question.
Okay, well, if that's true, if your Jewish identity
Yes, Torah now agrees with me.
is so central to your political identity.
Yeah, so Deborah said, Armin, I've answered you several times. Okay, yeah, I know you and BT both answered me. I saw that. But the fact that somebody who's what is this? Chayesara? I don't know how to Chayesara. So the correct answer apparently is Chayesara. Did I pronounce that right? Okay, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that many of you weren't able to answer that, including some of you who are religious Jews and take the Torah very seriously. So that means that this guy's gatekeeping on who gets to be a, really good Jew is ridiculous.
Zohran Mamdani because of my Jewish identity, and you, sir, should be voting for Zohran Mamdani because of your Jewish identity. I said, okay, well, if that's true, if your Jewish identity is so central to your political identity, then you should be able.
Thank you. Look, Amir knows how to write it so I could pronounce it properly. He writes it in Arabic so I could pronounce it. It's Khaisara. Okay, so if you write it in English, I am. Wait, Khaybasara. No, Khayasara, right? Okay, thank you, Khayasara. Yay. Okay, thank you.
Because of my Jewish identity, and you, sir, should be voting for Zohran Mamdani because of your Jewish identity. I said, okay, well, if that's true, if your Jewish identity is so central to your political identity, then you should be able to answer a very basic question on said Jewish identity. And I asked her what this week's Torah portion is, which was only 2 weeks after the holiday of Simchat's Torah, where we finished reading the entire Torah. So she should be able to know, and of course she didn't. So Jews historically, you can go all the way back to the Hebrew Bible. Jews historically, in small numbers.
I like Israel's definition on how to consider somebody Jewish enough, okay? Which is, if you're Jew enough for the Nazis, then you're Jew enough for us. That's it. And that makes a lot of sense. You know why that makes a lot of sense? Because the whole point of caring about this identity is because there are so many people that want to eliminate this identity. So this is an identity that the members of it deserve protection. So we need to just to decide who's a Jew. We just need to go and look at who your enemies think is a Jew, so that we know who to include in this circle of protection, right?
But nevertheless significant numbers have voted for things that are not in their best interest. And the Hebrew Bible is called the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude. In fact, in Nazi Germany, there was an association called National Association of German Jews, which was the Jewish division of the Nazi Party.
The Jewish division of the Nazi Party. Okay. But they were Jews, though.
All right. Let me just pivot slightly to.
Yeah, the Jewish division of the Nazi Party reminds me of, what was his name? Sam, the guy that likes Nick Fuentes. What the fuck? How did I forget his name? Sam. You know who I'm talking about? Let me know in the chat. Forgot his name.
Clay Travis again. I will come to you, Michael. Don't worry. Clay, I've got to ask you, whose side are you on in the big issue ripping apart the Republicans? Are you with Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens? Are you with Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh? I mean, it seems like the entire online conservative movement is ripping each other to pieces. Where do you sit with this?
Well, first of all, I'm a big proponent. As you remember, Piers, I'm currently banned on CNN for saying I only believe.
Not Sam, Dave Smith. Dave Smith is a Nazi-loving Jew. Okay? Never forget that. Never forget that. Dave Smith is a Nazi-loving Jew. So, yeah.
Where do you sit with this?
Yes, Dave Smith, thank you.
Well, first of all, I'm a big proponent. As you remember, Piers, I'm currently banned on CNN for saying I only believe in two things completely: the First Amendment and boobs, which was 8 years ago.
Oh, wait, that was you? I remember that. This guy went on CNN and he said he only believes in two things.
I'm a big proponent. As you remember, Piers, I'm currently banned on CNN for saying I only believe in two things completely: the First Amendment and boobs, which was.
Why would you say that? Okay, that's weird.
Was 8 years ago. So I'm not kidding about this, am banned from CNN for saying that. So
good. Who would say that on CNN? What the fuck? I believe in the First Amendment and boobs. Okay, sure.
Look, I think disagreement is actually healthy. And I think
No, I'm just kidding. You shouldn't be banned for that. That's actually kind of funny.
conflict is good. It's one reason I like your show. If people make good arguments on one side and the other arguments, and then we have a conflict, we end up in a better place. I actually, in that particular issue, look, I think Israel has the right to defend itself. I think that unfortunately there is an anti-Semitism that has risen on the right and has also risen on the left. It's why I've argued for a long time, Piers, we don't have so much of a political spectrum, left and right, as we do a big circle. And it is kind of interesting sometimes when
it's a horseshoe. It's not a circle. It's a horseshoe.
leftists and rightists on extremes end up agreeing that Israel is awful and evil. I don't believe that, right? I think Israel is imperfect as every country that has ever been founded in the history of the world. But if Israel put down its weapons, it wouldn't exist in a week. If every other country put down their weapons, we would have peace in the Middle East. So
I'm surprised. I think Anna is trying to yell, but everybody has, Anna is holding herself back now because she was yelling so much when people defended Israel, even a tiny little bit every single time, and she looked so ridiculous and so annoying. People were so annoyed by it. Now she's stopping because I think she realized how bad that looked. And now she's holding herself back. And I think she's like, she just wants, look, she wants to, I think she's like really struggling to hold herself back.
Of the world. But if Israel put down its weapons, it wouldn't exist in a week. If every other country put down their weapons, we would have peace in the Middle East. So in the context of October 7th, as we have continued.
Yeah, she's holding back her Israel rage right now.
Since then, we have the right, Israel does, I believe, to defend itself. And I say that.
You see, like, look at this. She's like, oh my God, make this stop.
We would have peace in the Middle East. So in the context of October 7th, as we have continued since then, we have the right, Israel does, I believe, to defend itself. And I say that with not looking at it from a particular religious bent, but just on who has human rights in Israel, in the Middle East. It's gay people have rights in Israel they don't have anywhere else. If you believe in human rights, you have to believe in Israel.
They can't get married, but...
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. They can't get married. You fucking bitch. That does not negate what he said. They have the right to live and live peacefully with the rest. They're not being hunted down. They have the right to life. Everywhere around them, they're being hunted down. Just because they haven't gone all the way to secular countries, like the other secular countries, you have to point that out. Like the difference between they have the freedom to have partner, to have their same sex, they have sexual relationship with people of their same gender. They get to celebrate the fact that they're gay. They have a gay pride parade. They have gay clubs. They have so many things that they don't. And every single other country around them, they're hunted down and killed and tortured. And they're like, oh, but they can't get married. Fuck you. Like guys, does this not show that no matter what Israel does, these people will never, ever, ever be satisfied? Like, so if I had to give a rating, if I had to give a score, the countries around Israel for LGBT rights, there would be a 0. And Israel, out of 100, maybe gets an 80 because gay people can't get married in Israel. And you're like, oh, but they don't get. You don't see the difference between Israel and every other country in the region. But just because they haven't taken the final step, you have to point that out. You don't, guys. Even if it was all the way, even if it was perfect, they will still find something to criticize Israel for. In what region they have managed to have LGBT rights in a region that is so homophobic? And instead of recognizing that, you have to point out like, well, but they can't get married. Well, fuck you. Well, fuck you for not recognizing the achievement that Israel has, what they have achieved in such an unfriendly region, an unfriendly area to gay people.
But just on who has human rights in Israel, in the Middle East, it's gay people have rights in Israel. They don't have.
Somebody's saying, Armin, you're drunk. I think you're drunk because that's not how you spell your.
Have anywhere else. If you believe in human rights, you have to believe in Israel.
They can't get married, but sure.
Okay, I want to ask Anna on this point. The whole sort of crux of the argument is whether.
Oh, by the way, Gene is pointing out that gay people can't get married in Israel, but they can get married in the U.S. and get it recognized in Israel. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Is a status so equal to marriage that even straight people do it? Interesting.
Tucker Carlson should have platformed Nick Fuentes. I have not chosen to platform Fuentes. I think he's a despicable human being who will simply use it to make.
Just platform him. Just challenge him when you platform him. I mean, actually, Piers, you shouldn't platform him because you don't do a good job in challenging him.
Make himself even more notorious and richer. And I think you've got to have a line with some of these people. He just spews obvious anti-Semitic horror story stuff. And I don't think he should be given a platform. However, Tucker said...
No, he should. It's fine to give him a platform. Just push back against his bullshit.
I'm entitled to. He is, and he did. Many think he got used and wasn't critical enough or whatever. Well, what do you feel, Anna, about that? Where is that line? Ben Shapiro says, no, you've got to have a moral purpose. You shouldn't be platforming people like that. Should we, should I have someone like Fuentes on? Should there be lines?
I think he just wants to have Nick Fuentes on. He just wants other people to tell him it's okay. I think that's what Piers Morgan is fishing for. He's like, I would never platform somebody so disgusting on my show. But what do you think? Should I? But what do you guys think? Should I? But should I? Maybe I should. Can you just maybe just tell my audience that maybe it's not a bad idea? Can you? Is that okay? Like that? I think that's what he's doing. We got a super chat. Thank you so much again, saying you can't get married in Cyprus and get it recognized. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I did not know that. But I think it should be, that doesn't, I mean, I hope you could get married eventually without having to go through these loopholes. It would be nicer if we could just do it in Israel. That just costs extra.
About who we do and don't platform.
For me, the line is whether or not the individual spewing the disgusting, anti-Semitic, bigoted, racist.
But you're an anti-Semite, Anna. You're also anti-Semitic. He's platforming you, and you're anti-Semitic.
Rhetoric has an audience or influence of his own, and whether people want to believe it or like it or not, the fact of the matter is Nick Fuentes has grown a massive audience. Some of his live streams on Rumble attract hundreds of thousands of viewers, sometimes as many as 400,000. So I think there's...
Yeah, he's bigger than all of you. He's bigger than Piers Morgan. He's bigger than Tucker Carlson. He's bigger than all of them.
A fundamental misunderstanding here in regard to who's platforming who. And Tucker Carlson, of course, has become a target because he has his own massive platform. He's tremendously influential. And, I'm sympathetic to the arguments that Tucker Carlson could have handled that exchange a lot better, right? He could have maybe come a little harder against Nick Fuentes. But anyone who listened to that interview and said that he didn't push back against Fuentes at all is lying. He did.
Okay, you fucking idiot. Tucker Carlson was pretending to push back against some of what he said so that he could whitewash him on everything else. That was so obvious. You know what's happening here? The anti-Israeli fuckers are actually supporting each other from both the left and the right. Okay, so she's left-leaning and she's supporting Tucker, and Tucker are supporting, like, this is what just like in Islamic sects, different Islamic groups, they need the so-called Palestinian cause for them to get united, because without it, they will all be fighting each other. The far left and the far right are also the Jew hatred, an anti-Israeli position, and also the so-called bullshit Palestinian cause is also a way for the far left and the far right to support each other. And this is what's happening. Like a lot of people on the far left are falling in love with Tucker Carlson and vice versa. And a lot of people on the far right are also falling in love with people on the far left over the Israeli issue. And that's what she's doing. She's trying to defend Tucker Carlson.
A lot better, right? He could have maybe come a little harder against Nick Fuentes. But anyone who listened to that interview and said that he didn't push back against Fuentes at all is lying. He did push.
No, they're not. They're not lying. They're just not idiots like you. They didn't fall for it. I mean, maybe you're not an idiot. Maybe you're just covering for your anti-Semitic friend.
Push back against Fuentes, and he focused.
I mean, guys, we should stop calling them anti-Semitic. It's actually we should stop doing that. We should call them Jew haters. Anti-Semitic, it just doesn't do it justice. Okay. This is Jew hatred. Jew hatred is it just has that punch to it, that anti-Semitic doesn't.
It's on the fundamental distinction between the two of them. While Fuentes believes that there is an organized Jewry that is responsible for U.S. foreign policy, and that has led to, basically, it's the Jews' fault, right? That's the argument that he makes. Whereas Tucker Carlson is very...
That's what you all think. That's what you all think because of the double standard, because of the things that Israel does and other countries do it 100 times worse. We have checked everything. The only difference is that the only reason why you're not attacking those is because they're not Jews. We have looked at every single element. Every single element. There is no excuse. The only reason why you're attacking Israel and not those countries is because Israel is Jew. We have actually managed to go through the list and look at every single other factor. The only difference is that they're Jews. It's just more profitable to spread hatred against Jews. It's just very profitable. And that's what you're doing. So you guys it's not Nick Fuentes is the difference between Nick Fuentes and you guys is not that he's anti-Jewish and you're not. The difference between Nick Fuentes and you guys is that he's the only one with the balls to come and say it out loud, without hiding, without gaslighting us. You're all the fucking same.
Jewry that is responsible for U.S. foreign policy, and that has led to, basically, it's the Jews' fault, right? That's the argument that he makes. Whereas Tucker Carlson is very careful and precise in the way he critiques the nation state of Israel.
Oh yeah, the person that compared Charlie Kirk to Jesus and his death to a plot by Jews. That guy that blamed the murder of the assassination of Charlie Kirk to Jews murdering, compared it to Jews killing Jesus. That guy is very careful to just basically not blame the Jews and just only focus on Israel. Sure. Whatever you say.
It's the Jews' fault, right? That's the argument that he makes. Whereas Tucker Carlson is very careful and precise in the way he critiques the nation state of Israel and how it has not been beneficial for the United States taxpayer to have our foreign policy be so incredibly supported and deferential.
It has benefited American taxpayers more than they could understand.
To the Israeli government, regardless of what they engage in, regardless of the political makeup of that government. And so to me, that's the important distinction here. There are those who are legitimate anti-Semites who are hateful and they blame the Jews in general. I've got no interest in them. And then there are the Tucker Carlsons who's been, I believe, inaccurately labeled as an anti-Semite.
Because you are an anti-Semite covering for another anti-Semite. That's why. You're a leftist anti-Semite covering for a right-leaning anti-Semite. This is the horseshoe theory in display right in front of us. By the way, Torah is making a good point. Anti-Zionism equals anti-Jews being able to protect themselves. Very accurately stated. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's true.
Because he's been so vociferous in his criticism of Israel. We should be able to be critical of Israel without that type of ridiculous, slander and libel being slapped in our faces like that. Now, in regard to whether or not he should have platformed him, again, I think that the right is kind of...
The problem is not platforming him, you fucking idiots. The problem is when you platform him, why do you not challenge him on the fact that he celebrates both Hitler and Stalin? Like, I think if there's one thing that should make us all on the left and right agree, is that somebody who supports Hitler and Stalin is a motherfucker. Like, and if you platform him, you need to push back against that. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, even if you're far right and love Hitler, you would actually have a problem with him celebrating Stalin, and vice versa. Like, how? That was so easy. Like, why wouldn't you push back against him on that? Like, that, okay. This is a straw man. The criticism is not why he platformed him. I mean, it shouldn't be, at least. The criticism should be like, why were you whitewashing him?
Slander and libel being slapped in our faces like that. Now, in regard to whether or not he should have platformed him, again, I think that the right is kind of making the same mistake that the left did for so many years, which is thinking that if you just ignore certain things, it'll go away. It's not going to go away. Nick Fuentes is ascendant right now. And the real question is, why is he ascendant, given what he has said on the record? And
because Jew hatred is profitable, because Jew hatred is getting more and more popular. And Anna, you people are responsible for it. You are part of the reason. You guys basically paved the way by with your shy Jew hatred to make the way for the people who are openly announcing their Jew hatred. You are part of the reason that this is happening.
What is the best way to engage without promoting that type of hateful ideology? And I think that's what
you should support Israel.
He has said on the record. And what is the best way to engage without promoting that type of hateful ideology? And I think
you're the hateful one.
That's what Tucker Carlson is attempting to do. He has admitted to...
You see, guys, you remember like many years I told you that Jew hatred brings people together. Did you guys ever imagine when Tucker Carlson was basically so hated by left-leaning people, and Anna and the Young Turks were so hated by right-leaning people? Did you guys ever imagine anything bringing these people together? Like if 5 years ago somebody told you that Anna Kasparian would be on TV supporting Tucker Carlson, you would call me ridiculous. You're like, that's insane. That will never happen. But the only thing that could bring these forces together, the only thing that is powerful enough to bring these people together is Jew hatred. Yeah, Amir saying, I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it. Yeah. I mean, 5 years ago, this was unimaginable. But now it is imaginable because of how strong Jew hatred is globally.
What is the best way to engage without promoting that type of hateful ideology? And I think that's what Tucker Carlson is attempting to do. He has admitted to Megyn Kelly that there are definitely things he wished he did differently in that interview.
Oh, now he realizes. Well, it was only the after interview he was realized, like, oh, yeah, the guy did praise Stalin, and I didn't ask him about that. Oh, actually, the guy praised Hitler, and I didn't ask him about that. And the guy praised Stalin on my show. On my show. Oopsies. I should have done better. Oopsie. Oopsie. You're right. You're right. I should reflect on that. Oopsie. Okay. Sure, buddy. Sure, buddy. We're as stupid as Anna here, apparently. All of us are this dumb. Sure.
And I think that's what Tucker Carlson is attempting to do. He has admitted to Megyn Kelly that there are definitely things he wished he did differently in that interview. But the way that there's been this organized effort to totally destroy him because he had that conversation, I'm sorry, I know that there are multiple outlets, both legacy media and independent media, that have interviewed and done softball interviews of literal war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu, who has literally slaughtered innocents in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon. And there hasn't been any pushback, okay, from anyone in regard to those interviews taking place. You want to know why? because he's a prime minister of a foreign country. Regardless of how disgusting he is, he's going to be interviewed. And the question is, how are those interviews going to be handled? Or is he going to be asked difficult questions or softball questions? He only grants the interviews to the softball questions.
Okay, Clay, I know you have to. I know Clay has to go. Clay has to go. So I want to just give you, Clay, just final quick response to that before we let you go.
Look, I don't think anybody should be criticized for anyone they choose to interview on their own shows. I also have the same position as you within that context, Peter.
It's not for having him on the show, it's for not challenging him. God damn
I
it.
wouldn't, and we haven't. We've got the biggest radio show in the country. I wouldn't put him on our program. But I also understand why Tucker decides to have conversations. And I would rather people have those conversations in public, even if I disagree with them. I would want the broadest possible context. I just don't think there's much to be gained from his arguments on my show. I imagine the same thing that you would say about that show. And then I think there's also a distinction on Netanyahu. I mean, he is the head of a state. I think everybody should interview Benjamin Netanyahu. Pierce, I bet if Kim Jong-un called you up and said, hey, we want to do a North Korea sit down, you would do a sit down with North Korea's leader, not because you agree with him or think that he has been treating the people of North Korea well, but just because that is a valid argument that he should be able to make to his larger context. Like, you should talk to the leaders of states, whether it's Putin, whether it's Kim Jong-un, whether it's
Okay, you made your point. Move
Donald
on.
Trump, whether it's
Guy, all of you are missing the point. The criticism, like, oh, Tucker, you should be able to talk to him. That's not the criticism, you fucking morons. The criticism is like, why were you not challenging him when you platform him? Why are you also such idiots?
Whoever,
Pierce, say something. They're missing the point.
It is, right? So I think there's a pretty big
distinction
distinction
between that. The problem with Netanyahu, though, is that he only gets interviewed by people who are willing to fillet him live on air. That's the problem with Netanyahu. I totally agree with you.
First of all, that's a very different show.
Should be interviewed. But that's what we've been seeing.
Look, I think that, in my opinion, Benjamin Netanyahu is not a war criminal. He should be able to.
He's a war hero.
Travel to the United States and, frankly, anywhere in Europe. There's a very huge difference having toured the sites between what happened at Nova and what happened in the kibbutzes in Israel, and what the response that Israel put in place to Hamas after they kidnapped 250 terrorists. To me, that equivocation is not morally remotely justified. And so I think that's frankly crazy.
Slaughter tens of thousands of innocent kids.
Nope, no, they didn't. They tried to actually reduce civilian casualties, and the leveling of Gaza was Hamas is responsible for that because they on purpose used the civilian infrastructure. They dragged the IDF into Gaza and they used the civilian infrastructure to fight the IDF. So the leveling of Gaza is Hamas's responsibility. The IDF had to respond to October 7th. Just because Hamas is using the civilian infrastructure, it doesn't mean that just the IDF should have been like, oh, okay, I guess we should just let October 7th happen and not respond because our enemy is using civilian infrastructure and we don't want to destroy that. So let's just pretend like October 7th never happened. And, oh, they're hiding behind the civilians, so I guess we just don't respond to October 7th. I guess we do that. Like, nope. Israel did the responsible thing on responding to October 7th, and they have done more than any country ever in history. But when it comes to trying to reduce civilian casualties, the fact that the civilian casualty numbers are high is because Hamas was doing its best to try to put them in the way to demonize Israel globally, and you fucking idiots are doing Hamas's job for them. There you go.
Okay, let me bring in Michael, who's been waiting very patiently. Let me bring him. Clay, I'm going to say goodbye to you, Clay. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I know you have to go.
Thank you, Pierce.
Balls. Yes, balls, everybody. Thank you, Pierce. Balls, everybody. Get my balls. Look at this. Everybody get his balls. Go get his balls. Go grab his balls. Grab his balls.
Michael him.
Great
book. Good to see you. Balls by Clay Travis. Buy it in a 2-for-1 with Woke is Dead. And you won't go wrong in life. Okay, Michael, you've been listening to all that. What's your view? I mean, I, for example, I have a big problem with Elon Musk allowing Alex Jones back on X when he decided to change his mind about that, because Alex Jones weaponizes lies to make himself very rich. That's why he had $1 billion defamation against him from the Sandy Hook families. You know, I think people that do that kind of thing, where they're weaponizing lies or genuine hate and anti-Semitism, you know, I think you've got to be very careful about platforming people, but that is their business model.
It is. So let's talk through the different elements of the conversation. First, Mayor-elect Mamdani is going to be successful. It is a reason why more than 1 million people voted for him, because he addressed cost of living and he did not allow
sure.
the rhetoric that was trying to demonize him to separate and confuse people from that. To the conversation that was also raised earlier of stating that the Jewish voters that supported him can't identify Israel on a map and don't have Jewish education is totally offensive, and I can't even understand why that was even stated earlier.
Oh, you're offended? Oh, you're offended. Ooh, boo. Guys, he's offended. Guys, put some cry emojis. I'm going to put a cry emoji. He's offended. He's so offended. Oh, my God. Let's cry.
It's another reason why he won. For stats purposes, just for context, even in the assembly district in the Bronx, where it was indicated that he would not be successful, Mamdani won that district as well. Let's be very clear. You can be anti-AIPAC and anti-Bibi and not be anti-Israel. You
would be a fucking idiot if you're pro-Israel. If you're pro-Israel, then if you're anti-AIPAC and anti-Bibi, then you're a fucking moron.
would not say to me right now that if I criticize the U.S.
especially as a foreigner, as an Israeli, being anti-Bibi, that's your just internal politics, okay? But as a foreigner, then I don't know.
Let's be very clear. You can be anti-AIPAC and anti-Bibi and not be anti-Israel. You would not say to me right now that if I criticize the U.S. government and Donald Trump that I'm anti-American. I am able to speak up because it is part of a democracy and you recognize the changes that are happening. Yes, you can.
Yeah, Bibi. Oh, yeah, anti-Bibi. I'm not I'm not anti-Israel. I'm just anti the man who killed most of Israel's enemies. Just wiped them all out. You know, all the heads of IRGC, all the heads of Hezbollah, all the heads of, you know, many of the heads of Houthis, all the heads of Hamas, just gone. He killed them. You know, I'm just against the man who managed to make all of the main enemies of Israel disappear. So, I would say that if you are against that, then you are anti-Israel. Oh, I'm not against Israel. I'm against AIPAC. AIPAC, which is an American organization funded by American Jews who care about Israel, which is their right to do. It's their free speech. They care for Israel, and they're, as Americans, they want to support the politicians that have policies in line with what they want, which is a very American thing to do. And I'm going to be against that, even though Israel itself doesn't have any serious lobby in the United States, unlike other countries. I'm not going to call out other countries, China, Russia, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, even Germany, Canada. They all have lobbies in the United States, and Israel doesn't actually have a serious lobby in Israel. But I'm just going to constantly demonize AIPAC. But I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not anti-Israel. Okay, sure. I see how that works.
Can say and should be able to say that Hamas had a brutal, inhumane attack that they did on the people of Israel, and at the same time that a genocide is happening against the people that are there on the.
Wrong. There's no genocide happening in Gaza, you fucking idiot. You guys don't even know what genocide means then. Tell me what is genocide.
You can say and should be able to say that Hamas had a brutal, inhumane attack that they did on the people of Israel. And
why don't you call that a genocide, you fucking idiot? That was a genocide. Brutal, inhumane. You mean it was a genocide? How come you're calling Israel's action in Qatar a genocide? You don't call Hamas's action genocide?
At the same time that a genocide is happening against the people that are there on the Palestinian side. You can.
No, there's not. You fucking idiots. You don't know what the genocide is. You don't understand the definition. Tell me, define genocide for me. Define genocide. There is no genocide happening in Gaza.
You can say both. As someone who.
You can't say both, but if you do say both, you're a fucking moron. And if you want to say both, then why didn't you call Hamas's actions in Israel a genocide?
Has baptized people in the Jordan River, as someone who has prayed at the Western Wall, who's someone who is an ordained reverend myself, who understands.
That doesn't mean anything. Fucking bullshit. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
Inside. You can say both. As someone who has baptized people in the Jordan River.
Who gives a shit?
As someone who has prayed at the Western Wall,
Who gives a shit? What the fuck does that, like, you're still anti-Israeli, you fucking idiot. I don't care.
someone who is an ordained
In fact, there's so many people, there's some even Jews who are anti-Zionist that are praying at the Western Wall.
reverend myself, who understands that Jesus was a Jewish man of color and a refugee in a foreign land.
I didn't give a shit. You're still anti-Israeli.
I absolutely have the ability to recognize the journey that one is on.
No, you don't. You're a fucking retard. You don't understand anything.
And when we think about what is at stake right here, people saw through the noise. They were able to say here in New York City that what is top of mind for me. I am wondering, how do I pay my milk and my groceries and my bread and what is being...
Guys, actually, the whole supporting for Israel is connected to you being able to pay for your bread. Do you know how they're connected? Does anybody know in the chat how they're connected? Supporting Israel will make you be able to pay for more bread and milk and eggs. Do you guys know this? Do you want me to explain this? These fucking idiots think like, oh, things are expensive because we're paying for war and wars are expensive and that's why we don't get to pay for shit. And they don't understand how anything works. They don't understand how global trade works. They don't understand how the economy works. Torah putting a question. Explain. Okay, here's the explanation. Right now, we're living historically, longer term. If you look at longer term, we're living in the most affordable times ever. If you look at long-term history, right? Things have never been this affordable. There has never been in history a period of time where this many people could have afforded this much food, this many clothes, this many luxuries. Never in the history of mankind has this ever happened. Okay. And there are two main reasons for this. One of them is technology. And the other one is the global stability that has made international trade possible to the degree that is happening right now. Right? You guys are richer than Marie Antoinette. Just less than 200 years ago, the richest people in the world lived lower quality of lives compared to you. You could afford more things than her. You have more food diversity, you have more entertainment, you have more travel options, you have more healthcare, you have more almost anything that she did, and she was richer than God in her time, right? And all of these things have become disaffordable, partly because of the international world order that we have right now that has been backed by the US military and its presence all around the world. The global order that we have right now, since World War II, has brought enough stability around the world that has made maritime trade this possible to this extent that we're experiencing right now. Without it, everything would have been so much more expensive. So much more expensive. So the US's presence, military presence around the world, is why we get to have nice things. There is no other army on the planet. All the countries in the world, if they put their army together, they would not be able to do what the US military is doing. They wouldn't. And the US military's presence around the world depends on it supporting its allies and having basically an unwritten agreement that we have our military presence here to secure trade around this region. In return, you get security from our military being here. So what America gets out of it is their ability to have their military in that area with the permission of their allies. And what their allies would get is the security of having the US military nearby. And that's an unwritten agreement between basically most countries and the United States. And the main ally of United States in the Middle East is Israel. So Israel is an extension of that, of US military's influence around the world. So the more countries are allies with United States and have this relationship with the United States, the more this international order is being protected. And the more security for international trade we are going to have, because if you understand basic finance, you understand that any amount of risk has a significant impact on prices. If as soon as you add risk, and you could measure the impact of risk on prices by looking at how much insurance costs will go up. The slightest amount of risk to any trade will significantly increase the cost of every good that is being transferred in these trade routes. So this stability is the reason why all of this trade is possible, and all of this trade is the reason why so many goods and services become affordable. So that's, and if isolationists have their way, all of this. So this is the problem that we have as non-US citizens. The global order is being decided by only American voters, right? Because this military that has maintained all this world order, whether they continue to do this or not, or to what extent, is decided only by American voters. And we as non-Americans, we don't have a vote. But if Americans become more isolationist, less defense for you, less defending Ukraine, less defending Israel, less defending other allies of United States, or basically the Western world, the more United States retreats, the more countries like Russia and China and Qatar and the Islamic Republic and even North Korea will fill that vacuum. And we don't, and you're, as much as many people complain about US's influence around the world, the alternative is worse, so much worse. If people think if United States retreats and basically leaves these areas, there would just be no power filling that vacuum. That vacuum would immediately be filled by forces such as Russia, China, and other countries. And that is not a good alternative. That is not a good alternative. So this is how United States supporting Israel is actually very, very much related to egg prices. Okay, does that make Torah? You put a question mark. You told me to explain. Does that make sense now? Somebody is saying, "Go back to Iran, you loser." Come on, make me. Come on, make me. You and what army?
Told to me and said to me that he is.
Let me know, Torah. Oh, yes, thanks. Okay. You said yes. Okay, so it made sense now.
What is top of mind for me? I am wondering, how do I pay my...
Wait a minute. Guys, I am very, very offended. I am very offended. Somebody says, shake that ass for that 7,000 shekels. Excuse me, sir. It's $7,000. Okay? Don't try to cheat me away, like cheat on this, okay? This is I'm charging full price here. I'm doing really good work here. So I know what the prices are. Don't try to shortchange me here. It's $7,000. Thank you very much.
My milk and my groceries and my bread, and what is being told to me and said to me that he is this. Zohran Mamdani is not anti-Semite. Full stop. He is not. And so someone being critical of a government does not make you as such. But I do think we are in a moment in time where people are wanting to understand the journey that you have been on. And so
somebody's saying, why 7,000, not 6,000? Because you rest on the 7th, right? So that's why you have to make it. So you work. Yeah, I think it has something to do. Oh, guys, is this also why Israel managed to defeat all the Arab countries in the 6-Day War? I figured it out. I figured out why you guys because it looked like a miracle when all these Arab countries attacked Israel, and it only took you 6 days for you to defeat them. But then I figured it out. I figured out that the reason why you managed to kill them, destroy all your enemies in 6 days, is because you really, really had to rest on the 7th day, right? You couldn't go one extra day. You basically, guys, we need to finish this fast because God had mandated that we rest on the 7th day. Is that the reason? Is that the reason that you did it in 6 days? I think I figured it out.
What is being asked and raised earlier, I know it was said tongue-in-cheek around the dynamic of candidates. I was a pretty good candidate in mayoral primary. That's why they said it was the breakout star. But I understand the point that was being made earlier about the other candidates itself. The dynamic that exists here is that people want to know, are you going to address what's happening in my life? And that is why he won. That is why Democrats won last Tuesday. And that is the shift that is happening on the ground in places like the Bronx, in places like New Jersey and Virginia, where you can understand all at the same time.
I'm not even listening to this guy's idiot. Oh,
sure,
yeah,
it's interesting. Michael Blake said he was the breakout star of the New York City mayoral campaign. I am currently on the New York City Board of Elections website. This is how many votes you got. You got 0.4%, 4,366 votes on the first round.
Guys, look at this guy. He's getting so nervous. You can see he's going.
I am currently on the New York City Board of Elections website. This is how many votes you got. You got 0.4%, 4,366 votes on the first round.
In the first round. Say the full facts.
I'm getting there. I'm about to, but you're interrupting, so hang on. On the second round, he got 4,389 votes, and then on the third round, he was disqualified. So, Michael, I live in that district that you're
you're literally lying about stats on a national TV interview.
You have to let me finish,
You're
buddy.
literally lying. You're literally lying about a stat.
Buddy, if you're going to yell at your own constituents, it's not going to go well for you.
Well, my name is Michael. It's not Buddy. The ranked choice, what happened, as you are aware, ranked choice voting was first through 5 votes.
I am
talking. But you just stated an inaccurate stat.
Yeah.
So inaccurate stat, and all I'm trying to state.
All of Michael Blake's viewers, all
you
of
are showing
voters go on the New York City Board of Election website right now. That's the point.
Yes.
The second,
when you go onto Board of Election website, you will see the total.
Finish.
Thank you.
You have to let me finish. Again, this is not going to go well for your congressional campaign if you can't even let your constituents continue to make a point. You can respond, you just have to let me make the point first. So first of all, you're not going to win. You know you're not going to win, which is why you called Simcha Eichenstein just months before the primary election, begging him to endorse you.
Was inaccurate.
Again, you can respond. You just have to let me finish.
This is
okay.
I know you're new to this, but you have to let me finish.
Look, we're getting into the weeds a bit here, Shabos.
So let me just make my general point, and then I'll be done. To Anna, and again, I'm glad Anna and I were having a civil discourse over here. I have to push back. I think it's a bit gaslighting to suggest that Zohran Mamdani was not campaigning on things pertaining to the Middle East. This is someone who 3 years ago, the Democratic Socialist of America convention literally said that Palestine was the center of his political identity. This is someone who, a week after October 7th, was arrested in the streets for protesting traffic, protesting the genocide in Gaza. This is someone who took pictures with an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. This is someone who made a rap praising the Holy Land Five, which were convicted for providing support for terrorism. So, look, I hope Zohran Mamdani succeeds because
all of this stuff has been debunked. But okay,
they haven't been debunked. Shut the fuck up. Like he has done that. He has supported the terrorists. Like, look at this. Like, I'm not gonna have any arguments. I'm just gonna say, like, it's all been debunked. It's all been debunked. Okay, sure. Well, make us debunk them for us if they have been debunked.
We as New Yorkers also see. I'm not sure what you mean by debunked. You literally made a rap.
It's been debunked repeatedly. Okay, if it has been, you would have actually been able to debunk it in front of us.
Praising the Holy Land Five. He literally campaigned with Hassan Piker, who said that they deserve 9/11.
Yes, he did that. Has that been debunked?
I'm going to leave it there before everyone starts shouting at each other, which just when we'd all got to be back on a more friendly, even keel.
Well, they interrupted,
great to have you all.
Man.
Thank you all very much.
Shabbos, come on. By the way, he did condemn Hassan. Shabbos, sorry. I'm not doing that on purpose.
I appreciate it.
About that.
And I'm glad he condemned Hassan, but at the same time, Hassan was at his election victory party. So I'm glad he condemned, but actions speak louder than words.
Okay.
All right, guys. Don't forget to like the stream. Don't forget to like the stream. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. We do this almost every night. Also, tomorrow, like in 24 hours, in almost 24 hours, we have a group call where we could talk together. The link to that is in the description. Let me actually put the link in the chat for you guys as well. Come join a group call where we just get together and talk about world politics together. Okay, in 24 hours we're going to do that. The link is in the chat. The link here, it's actually school.com/world liberty. The link is also in the description. Okay, so we're going to get together. We're just going to, everybody gets to open their mic if they wanted to. If they don't, they could just listen. And we'll just talk about global politics and all those sorts of, like, all the news, everything that we talk about here on the show. It's just good for you guys to be able to talk as well. It's not just go on YouTube live shows and just listen to other people. You get to give your opinion as well. Isn't that great? Isn't that good that you come to and you meet other people who are interested in similar topics like you? You get to meet other people. It's a good place to meet other people and make friends that are interested in these topics. So come to join it's free. Come join our free group call and meet other people and talk about your views on all of these topics. Okay, so again, it's school.com, school with a K, so SKOOL.com/world liberty. Link in the description, link in the chat. And don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit the bell notification. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys same time tomorrow. Okay, all right. Say it with me. I'm Israel Chai, Javid Shah. See you guys tomorrow.